a lot of inquiries about trees, especially when you get to high winds and they start to spread wind, leaves and stuff all over the place. And sometimes citizens will take it upon themselves to prune the trees, and I don't think they're really supposed to do that.
No.
So sometimes you get in a little trouble taking the initiative to take care of the problem yourselves. You're actually supposed to call the city for us to do that. Anyhow, we've run out of time. I want to give you some real quick statistics here from last year for this area and for some other spots in the city, and talk about our Part 1 crimes before I let you go out the door, just so you see kind of what's going on. These are the top 10 calls for service here in Area 1 for all of 2013. So again, you're seeing, those of you that have been to my meetings before, you're seeing that the calls are pretty much remaining the same. There's traffic stops, extra patrols, vehicle checks. These are all activities that are being done by the police department. We get a lot of the 911 calls, whether they're accidental or people that are just playing with their phones trying to get the police department or emergency services, somebody to come out. And that does take up quite a bit of our manpower. So, again, there you see some of the statistics for this last year. And if you take note what we have up here, we're going to compare it to everything that's in Area 2, which is south of the 210 freeway down to Foothill. And you're going to see the statistics in Area 2 are a little bit higher. Same type of calls. The type of calls may be in a little bit different order, but some of the categories you didn't see so many calls up in Area 1. The arrests, the parties, seems to be quieter towards this area. So still a lot of calls for service. Top 10 calls for the entire city. And traffic stop seems to be the number one activity, which is good. You have police services all over the place enforcing traffic issues, traffic problems, preventing accidents, that kind of stuff. So again, if there's any questions on these, I know we're kind of running through this real quick.
Do you have any information on, there was a case that was on all local news. I was surprised to look on the news and see if it's a possible rape that was right on.
Yeah, you're talking about the young lady who was jogging.
Right.
And you know what, folks, that case actually is probably related to some other cases. It was not an attempted rape as far as we could tell. The young lady was jogging. A male pulled up in a car, did approach the girl, grab her. This type of incident has happened in other locations, up here in the north end and also in the more central area of the city. It's also happened in Rancho. The good news is we were actually able to track the young man down. The case is going to the DA's office, and they're going to hopefully file some type of sexual battery charge against the guy. But more importantly, and it's the new year, and a lot of us have made resolutions to drop weight and maybe to get a little bit more physically active. One of the things that I can suggest is if you do that, somebody like you, nobody's probably going to mess with you, but my daughter, 17, 18 years old, she loves to go out jogging, and I worry about it. And Dad isn't going to tell her, don't do it, go right ahead. But I try to get her to go with somebody else. Use the buddy system. And it's actually a good thing to do, even as an adult. If you're going to go out shopping at night, or you're going to go down to the local Starbucks, or take somebody with you, because you're less apt to get approached or become victimized if you're in Paris than if you're just by yourself. Right? So, for Part 1 crimes, if we're looking at, again, homicide, robbery, rape, grand theft auto, burglary, aggressive assault, arson, everything's up there. You see the numbers up there for 2013. Our homicide rate unfortunately went up because we had a triple that was a domestic violence thing where a dad shot, you know, his kids and a wife. Those kind of things are very hard to prevent, if not impossible to prevent. You look at the numbers for 2012, unfortunately our homicides increased because of that one incident. Rapes increased to 2. Robberies are actually down 30%. Assaults are down just a little bit, 8%. Burglaries down 20%. Theft down 7%. Auto theft is down 27%. And arson's down 25%. The vehicle theft, I can tell you, most of the cars that get stolen in this town are your early to mid-90s Honda Civics, Acuras, those type of cars. There seems to be something going on with the street racers. We have a detective that's assigned specifically to that. We are making an impact, unfortunately, with the jail system and the state releasing prisoners at an accelerated rate. A lot of them go right back out and they like stealing cars. I think I've done a presentation previously where we've talked about how to keep your car from getting stolen. There are little things that you can do to prevent your car from getting stolen. And you're just going to make the car less desirable. Putting the club across the steering wheel, even if the car comes equipped with an alarm, it's just one more barrier. Parking your car in your garage at night. When you go to the grocery store, parking your car somewhere where there's a lot of foot traffic, where somebody's not going to just go up and bust your window out with a spark plug and get in. And these crooks are very sophisticated. They can get into cars and have it started in about 30 seconds. Your newer cars aren't getting stolen because a lot of them are coming with chips now that if you don't have the transponder that goes with it, my wife's car, for example, doesn't even have a key. You just get in and you push a button and it starts, right? Well, those cars are a little bit harder to steal than your 1991, 92, those type of Actors, Toyotas, Nissans, for whatever reason, they're just very popular. Again, if you look at our totals for violent crimes for 2013 versus 2012, it's down 14.6%. Property crime down 9.1%, and overall down 10%. So things are looking good. And actually, up here in the north end, it's even better than other areas in the city. So keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully, we can keep most of that out of here. If you look at other cities, the crime rates, like in San Bernardino, are much higher, a lot higher than Fontana actually does a very, very good job. So, any questions before we wrap this up?
I just had a couple really quick. I know that they found a marijuana grow house in Sierra Lakes that was associated with a house in Rancho. I think it might have been in August. Was there also one in Hunters Ridge, Coyote Canyon, that you guys found?
I believe there have been 2 that were found up here last year. There were several throughout the city. It's a very lucrative business. I think, again, we've done presentations on that before. The cartels, they're here, and they may not be as blatant as they are in other places, but they come in and they'll rent out a house or a warehouse, and they'll grow that stuff because you can make a lot of money out of it.
Was it during that same time period? I think it was like August, September?
Yeah, it was.
Were they all associated, or was it just those 2?
You know what,
you don't remember?
I'm not really sure if they were related.
Just curious.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. There was the one that was taken down in.
I don't think so. It actually,
Sierra Lakes.
The one in Sierra Lakes was a friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Okay. It was his rental.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, it was his renters.
I thought it was the owner because he had a house in
He was
Colony
Yeah.
in Rancho, and I think it's the Colonies or something, and I thought it was the same owner.
Yeah. I actually spoke to the gentleman at one of the meetings, and very nice man.
Wow.
He was completely duped.
Wow.
But that's what these folks will do. They'll come in, look, I want to rent your house, Lydia. I'm going to give you, you want $1,500, I'm going to give you $1,800. Okay?
Yeah.
And The only thing and it's gonna be cash, it's gonna be a cash deal every month. The only thing is I don't want a contract. Don't ask any questions. I'll take very good care of the outside of your house.
Sure.
The inside, maybe not. You know, I may completely destroy it to the point it'd be cheaper to knock the whole thing down and rebuild it than
Just curious. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But, you know, again, the city does a really good job. Our detectives, our officers do a really good job at trying to track these places down, and it's here. I mean, and if you look at some of the things that are going on, not just here in California, but throughout the country. I mean, Colorado just legalized it. Who's next?
Yeah,
I
stores.
keep hearing these things that California, that we're next on the list. I hope not.
Well, yeah, I saw
It's
that in
not-
Colorado, a liquor store down. And we'll walk into a liquor store and buy some. That's pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and you know, you think that the prices would have dropped significantly, and that they've been able to regulate it, tax it, all that. Actually, if you have done any research on what's going on in Colorado, it's done just the opposite. They're selling out an ounce of marijuana there for I think $400, $300. It's crazy.
I don't know how much it is.
That's I mean, that's just nuts. And it may drop down as time goes by, but you know, it's a novelty right now, so they're getting all this in traffic. And I've got a very good friend that lives in Colorado, and he's not very happy,
Yeah.
trust me. So, anyhow, folks, if we don't have any other questions, we're going to wrap this up.
I actually had one more question really quick.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. So you had mentioned about that incident that happened a week ago. I know we talked in the past meetings about staffing, night staffing for the police department and during the day.
Yeah.
Are they making more routes through our neighborhood now?
Yeah, and
because
that
of that
fluctuates.
situation?
You're going to have a minimum of at least 2 police cars up here, and sometimes, you know, it could fluctuate up to 10 or 15, just depending upon what's going on. So,
But you said there's two, that's
at all times. There should be 2 up here at all times.
not, at all times.
At all times, there should be at least 2 cars up here. Okay,
Well, I don't know, I don't work, and I very seldom, every 6 months.
right. Well, that might be a good thing. I can, you know what, I can tell you that my officers, and I know this because I've assigned them to do a lot of extra patrol and surveillances up in here, especially after our last meeting when you were telling me about the Jeep that was,
Right.
yeah, and so there's just not a lot of stuff that's going on here. I actually check statistics periodically. We haven't had any complaints about any kind of reckless driving or anything in that one particular intersection or just south of since November, which is good. I mean, it tells me that the problem got solved. I saw or was made aware of a traffic collision that involved a Jeep several months back, and when I saw it, I thought, that's got to be my guy because of the way they put out the description. And as soon as that occurred, everything stopped. But there is, from what I understand, there's another citizen that lives up here, and there's a gentleman that lives over in that area. I won't name any streets or whatever, but supposedly he likes hot rods, and he builds hot rods, and every once in a while he'll go out and test his engines out and that kind of stuff. So, and I'm talking about high dollar cars, not you know, your something that kids put together. I'm talking about like maybe a 23T bucket or a 32 Ford Highboy, something that, you know, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Please, what I'm saying is, if somebody goes out and they start driving recklessly, please give us a call and let us know, because we'll jump on that problem again. Hopefully, it's been taken care of permanently. Anyhow, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Again, it tells me that you care about your neighborhoods and what's going on up here. And I wish we could get more people here. As our mayor says, though, when we have low turnout, and it really does throughout the year, it tells me that people are happy and they're not overly concerned about it.
I think when the sign goes up,
Yeah, and I don't know why it didn't get put up this time. I can tell you that, you know, again, the dates got changed because we wanted more people to be able to attend, and unfortunately they didn't. Our next meeting is in April. If you look at the calendar, it should have all the information on there. Okay. All right, folks, thank you and God bless.